We're heading to Bowman Lake. It's in the middle of the Tahoe National Forest. This is the only paved road on in. It will end soon. We will hit cliffs, canyons. There's about 20 lakes back here. And then at that point, there's a rocky road up to the lake for about 7 miles. It's very remote. It's very rugged. And I just want to show you, I'm sorry about the reflection. I'll try to hold the camera a little closer to avoid that. Just because the sun's shining at an angle right now. But you can see it's a narrow road. Once we get on the dirt road, it's so narrow, it's barely wide enough for my Jeep. And of course, like I say, there's cliffs. But it doesn't bother me. It's like going on the cliffs is like being home. I do this all the time. I won't recommend, if you're from the city and you're going to freak out and get PTSD because of heights, don't do it. Wish somebody wasn't here. I'll get the picture on the way back home. That's a beautiful picture of that deep, rugged canyon. So I'm going to keep going. When I get to the gravel road or dirt road, I'll do a little more filming. It's more of an ATV road, but we can take our Jeep. It's not too bad. I've heard of people bringing some cars back here. I won't recommend bringing your mom's Oldsmobile back here. Because like I say, once you hit the four-wheel drive road, you can have an SUV. I read a news article, great place to take your Chevy Blazer or your Jeep. But if you take, you could bottom out or hit a rock with a car, unless you drive it very slowly. Some people have come up here with cars. But I just want to show you that it's in the middle of nowhere, and it's very rugged coming up. You can see it from the cliffs and the high mountains and the thick woods. This is Bigfoot country, and I hope to go to Bowman, Weaver, Sawmill Lakes, and the ghost town of Graniteville. But we're about to hit these old immigrant and old wagon roads. They haven't changed since the 1800s. And from there, after many miles of dirt roads, we'll eventually get to Bowman Lake. We just passed Spalding Lake. Now there's Lindsay Lake, Carr Lake. Let me see what the sign says real quick.
Bowman's 11.
11? Well, 7 of it's dirt roads, 6.5, 7. And then some's paved or gravel.
Grouse Ridge, 8.
Grouse Ridge is awesome. Some nice Bigfoot back in there. So what you want to do, folks, is if you want to go to Bowman Lake, you take Bowman Lake. Carr and Feely Lake, Lindsay Lake. Actually, there's Lindsay Lake has 6 lakes all next to each other, and you can camp between them all. And then Carr and Feely is very scenic and pretty. And Grouse Ridge, you hike on the ridge, and there's some cool stuff. But Bowman Lake's 11 miles. So we got about 11 miles. It's not going to look like this in a little bit. It's going to get real rugged, and I'll show you. I'm excited, folks, because back here, there's a lot of history, good fishing, scenery, a lot of strange Bigfoot tales and sightings dating back decades, actually hundreds of years in this area. So I can't wait to see what we might uncover. Nice little creek flowing through. We're about to hit the dirt road. I just want to show you the creek. There's some nice creeks and rivers back here. Like I said, there's about 20, 30 lakes back here. If you have a Jeep, you can off-road to them all. We camped in this area, but on the other side of the mountains, a few miles away at Meadow Lake. And this time, we're camping in a different area. Same region, just a different area. You can spend 10 lifetimes actually, hiking back here. There's so many lakes and areas to see. But this is the last of the pavement, so enjoy it, folks, because we're about to go into the wilderness. Not that we're already not in the wilderness. However, like I say, when the pavement begins, that's really where the journey begins, is when that pavement's gone. And you're climbing up. There's a lot of little cliffs coming up that we'll ride on a narrow road to get to the lake. But I'll film it and I'll show you. And if you want to come up here and fish and camp with your family, you'll get to see what it's like and decide if this is something you want to do or if you have the right vehicle to do it. I mean, my videos are more than just about Bigfoot. We want to get people off their couches, but at the same time, we want you to be safe, and we want you to kind of see the area with your eyes based on our films and our footage on this trip. And, there's a lot of little camping areas like this that are accessible as well, if you want to just pull off and camp. But if you really want to go to a true wilderness lake, this is the place to do it. It's one of the most scenic gems in the Tahoe National Forest. You won't believe your eyes when we get there. You won't. Trust me, you won't. I want to check out this hairpin turn. Come around the corner and then there was no more pavement. This is just, I mean, look how secluded. You are so isolated back here. I mean, there's nothing. Even though they paved this to be nice to the campers in the area, it's still, like I say, these are old mining and logging roads. There's ghost towns. There's like 5-6 ghost towns back here. All these dirt roads that interconnect coming up lead to these ghost towns. There's even a couple cemeteries back in the woods. And like 20-30 lakes. Lindsay Lakes is like 5 lakes. Carr Lake has 5 or 6 lakes. And then the lake we're going to today is a few lakes. It's a lake basin is what we're in. I mean, that's all the Sierras are comprised of, is mountains and lake basins. The lower areas are where lakes settle, and you have huge, lush valleys. The upper areas are the peaks and the thick, dense forests. Like right now, we're up near a peak, so it's very forested. But when we go down in the valley, it'll start opening up, and we'll see cliffs and lakes and all that good stuff. We've already passed 5 or 6 lakes. They're very accessible. But I want something more isolated, and each mile is more and more isolated. It's, you know, there's a lot of Bigfoot up in this area too. You can understand why. And some of the waterfalls are 100 feet in height. So, but with the drought, we may not see no waterfalls. Okay, folks. I've gone in about halfway to Bowman Lake. I'm just keeping you updated. I know I'm babbling. And just want to show you what it's like going to Bowman Lake. Narrow road, lots of woods. And the last 6 miles of Bowman Lake is all rocky road. I'm excited. It's a pretty little journey along the lake. A lot of good scenic shots I could get in video. I got Rascal too. Rascal, there he is. He's sitting between us. It's kind of hard to turn my wrists that way, but if you hear panting, it's not me. I'm not breathing heavy on camera. It's my dog. He's just a little bit, he just had an orgasm from smelling the fresh flowers and the great outdoors. This is as pristine and as pure as it's going to get. I could eat off the ground out here and wear a loincloth all day long. Here you go. See how it opens up in the valleys? And in those valleys are lakes, because this is a lake basin area. It's going to get a lot more rugged, and we're going to hit a lot more cliffs soon. We've hit a few already. Like I say, it don't bother me. It's second nature. Don't go camping or in the Sierras if you hate cliffs, or in Nevada, because there's nothing but mountains. I found a mountain range that doesn't even look like a Nevada mountain range. It's called the Jarbidge Mountains near Elko. I was up near there. It wasn't very far. They've had a lot of Bigfoot sightings recently, and it's a very... Nevada has different mountain ranges. This Jarbidge range, parts of it look like this, the Sierras. Heavy, dense forests, open green meadows, streams, and lakes. And so I definitely am going to make the trip out there to open up a case, because people are really experiencing these 10-foot reddish-brown hairy creatures, and it's been very high lately. There's been some news articles and stuff, and I have the coordinates to where this is happening, and it's a really beautiful area. So we'll check out the Jarbidge Mountains, but right now we're in the high Sierras, folks, heading to Bowman Lake, Tahoe National Forest. And so I know one thing, I'm going to try to find me some Bigfoot tracks or some marshland around here, and we're going to check for tracks. It's one of my goals between Bowman and Weezer Lake, or whatever I called it. Oh, here we go. It's dirt road. And Sawmill Lake, which is marshy. Good for tracks. And there's a little pond, hidden pond I found. Great for checking for tracks. There are a couple Bigfoot sightings. I did find Bigfoot evidence pretty close to here. The road's going to be a little rocky. Basin access, Grouse Lakes, Loney Meadow. Grouse Lakes is really cool. They have some really strange stuff happening up there. But we're not far from Grouse Lakes. We're at Bowman Lake, so the whole area is strange to its entirety. But this is a gravel road. It will get very rocky the further we go in, and then once we get to Bowman Lake, any of the other lakes we want to visit are probably going to be, the roads are going to be a little rocky. But we could even hike. I rather hike so I could see wildlife and butterflies and all that good stuff. So we're on the road to Bowman. And like I said, these are old logging and wagon trails. There was lumber camps. There was mining camps. There's at least 6 or 7 ghost towns, maybe 10, maybe 7 to 10. I'll name a few: Allegheny, Baltimore Town, Bloomfield, Graniteville, Nevada City. Bowman Lake had a little mining community. And there's just many more. Oh, and Meadow Lake, which is a ghost town of almost 10,000 people at one time. And then you have Weber Lake, the resort, and the camp up there, the sheep camp. A lot of relevant sites. Most of these sites don't even exist anymore. Some became semi-ghost towns. Sunday, I'm going to take you down near Bowman Lake. There's about 3 miles away, a ghost town with the cemetery. We're going to take you there Sunday. People that stayed in that ghost town would work in the mines up at Bowman Lake. So there's a lot of history here. And everything's connected. A lot of little boom towns, but it's very isolated. And nobody can hear you scream out here. But this place could become a national park. Or, set aside federally. But could be set aside by the federal government because of its, not just because it's historic value, but its scenic value as well. Now it's going to get real scenic because we're at the top of the Sierras. Rascal, you're on candid camera. Look at that. And see, there's a lot of little roads down there, as you can see. So we're on the cliff. There are a lot of cliffs, like I say, no big deal. If you want to go to a nice lake or a beautiful place, you got to drive in extreme locations to get there. You can't walk to them. You can't, you know what I mean? There's no way back to them other than you have to take these roads, even on foot. And so we'll drive along various cliffs, various lakes. It's just a beautiful scenic ride in, and then finally settle at the lake. I'll be able to look out my tent window and see the lake, the mountains. I could live here for a couple months and be happy, as long as I got what I need: food, water, the peace and quiet's nice. So I bought a carrier. I had to jerry rig it. It doesn't fit on my rack, so I got it all roped on all 4 ends, and it seems to be holding. It's not moving around or banging. But as it gets rockier, you might hear it banging, so just be forewarned, folks. I don't want to hear it banging. I want it to stay nice and tight and secure, but hey, shit happens. It holds most of my camping stuff besides the load I have in the back and my firewood and all that good stuff. If I'm going to go look for Bigfoot, I'm going to do it with class. Steaks on the grill, fishing poles, some spotlights, some, just the gear, the backpack, some ale to drink.
Not recommended for cars or trailers.
Yeah, not recommended for boats, cars, or trailers, but people still bring boats and shit back here, and people still take cars. It's just is not good on a car suspension. There are some big rocks. It's not that it's a bad road. Only got about 5 more miles to Bowman Lake anyways. So we're already almost there. It's not that bad. It's an old wagon road, folks, and this road intersects with the Hennis Pass. The Hennis Pass, if you take that, you can take it to Weber Lake, head south through Lacey Meadows and get up to a place called Meadow Lake. Beautiful lake, scenery, ghost town, mining camp. I found a mining camp. I found ghost town remnants. I found a couple lakes. We found Bigfoot tracks and evidence. It was a good trip. So I like this area because we're only going to be a few miles from Meadow Lake. So we've already been out this way. We haven't taken this way in. This is a different way in. We took the Hennis Pass. But these are old wagon roads. These existed since the 1850s out here. Because you have Nevada City, which is a very large semi-ghost town, but in its heyday, thousands of people lived there. The mines were making millions. So these roads, I mean, if you want to go to Nevada City from, per se, Truckee, you might take this wagon road on in to head up towards Nevada City. Or if you were a miner and wanted to get work at some of the mines back here. It's just as historic as it is a natural wonder. Look at him. He's got that puppy. Listen, he's got that puppy look in his eyes, like the real puppy look, like he wants to play and run around. I can see it. He's smiling, man. He's happier than fuck. Unexpected. There's actually mud and water on the roads. You gotta watch this, folks, because on the cliffs, you know, you could slide in the mud and go right off the cliff. I mean, if you're speeding through it. I'm going very slow, so I get good traction. Just a little tip from me to you. I mean, these are cliffs. I mean, that's hundreds of feet down. That's 200, 300 feet down. So if you don't like this stuff, I like it. But if you don't like it, don't do it. Because I'm telling you right now, there's risk. You could die in your front porch. There's risk in everything. But the only people who die out in the Sierras are people who are not cautious, who don't respect the laws of the land, or these cliffs. You know, I see people ATVing at 80 miles an hour, and they spin out and get thrown off, go right over the cliffs, man. You gotta use some common sense.
I read an article yesterday where these two people fell off a cliff in Encinita, following the Pokemon tape on their game.
Yeah, playing games on their cell phone and died. Or taking a stupid selfie with their cell phone because they're on the edge of eroded rock. That's straight down, folks. Look at that. But I don't mind, because I'll tell you right now, this is comfortable to me. I feel more comfortable here than I do at the grocery store. I'm not going to go off the cliff. But I know how to drive, and I also pay attention. I'm not on my cell phone right now. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of quartz and granite rock from mining. Hold on. So just beyond this canyon up here, we're gonna, cause you can see the dam. There's a dam right here, but just beyond the dam and around the end of the canyon, it'll open up into Bowman Lake. We got about 5 more miles to go. I'm standing at the top of a cliff. This is some pretty deep canyons. And so a lot of wagon roads, a lot of ghost towns. Life was harsher. People died. If the elements didn't kill you, you know, I mean, food was scarce. There was no luxuries. You had to live off the land, and winter storms, 20 feet of snow back here. And so, a lot of these pioneers didn't make it. A lot of them died. There's a lot of Bigfoot in this region. A lot of lakes. Strange happenings. And there's definitely adventure, and it's pretty extreme. So I look forward to going to Bowman Lake, just beyond this canyon. It's going to be quite scenic. We're in the Tahoe National Forest. Look, folks, straight down. That's a cliff. That wash goes all the way to the bottom of the canyon. And I'm on the edge, but it doesn't bother me because I got 3 tires, almost all 4 on solid ground, but it's the edge. Just like here, that's the edge. And that's what we'll see until we get to the bottom of the canyon and in the lake basin where Bowman Lake is located. See how it's descending down? We're going to go right down into the canyon I just showed you on film. But we got to make our way off this mountain we're on. This is a Grouse Ridge area, so these are all ridges. We're at the top of the Sierras. Let me look at that carrier. Don't move, just want to make sure it's safe. I see the dam up here. Past that's Bowman Lake. Wow. This is a good area to get my Jeep shot. Nope. Phew, it's pretty high up, but we're going down, which means we're going down to the lake, because that's what it does. It goes downhill to the lake. But you spend the first part of the road climbing, and then it levels off, and then it goes down into the basin. Hi, Rocky. Hi, Rocky. Rocky. Like he's trying to ignore me on purpose. That's funny. He's like, oh, I don't want to piss Daddy off. He's already mad at the bulldog. He's not stupid. He knows. He can feel my energy. But see, he's being good, so. Okay, the road is getting rocky, so time to really go slow. At least I don't see other cars. It's God's country here, which means that he can kill you or keep you alive if you actually believe in God. I'm more of a scientific guy, so I believe my odds are good as long as I play it cautious and respect the wilderness. And that's the problem. People die all the time out here and they don't respect the wilderness. They're not prepared. They don't bring enough fluids, ice, water, extra supplies. Back in the day, though, many pioneers didn't make it on these wagon trails. They died. They didn't make it. You can see why. Imagine taking a wagon along these cliffs, your horse spooks. People went over the cliffs all the time in wagons. But this is not too far from Coloma, which sparked the gold rush in 1848, 1849 era. It brought in miners from even the Chinese and immigrants who came in on boat San Francisco, went to Coloma and worked their way out from the wagon roads in Coloma to this location just a few months later, looking for gold and silver in these hills and mountains that were off-road at. Oh, here we go. This is the ride along the dam. How cool is that? About 2 more miles, maybe. A lot of rocks, folks. All rocks. Like I said, you may not want to take your mom's Oldsmobile. But it's very scenic on in, so it's worth taking. A lot of dams, lakes, rivers, waterfalls. Beautiful lush forest. Of course, we're in a drought, so some of the trees look like they're really suffering from the lack of water. Oh, there's that mountain that drops Bowman Lake. I can see in the open area there's Bowman Lake. So folks, we're about 2 miles away, if that. I can see it through the trees. Not the lake, but the area, the peak that overshadows. It's called Bowman Peak. I can see it. So I know we're nearby because it's backdrops the lake. And there's a huge open area straight ahead. But this is really rocky. You have to work to get to this lake. That's what makes it worth camping here. Is the ability to... It might be rugged, but you know at the end of that ruggedness is a sweet little gem waiting for you to barbecue those burgers. Put those burgers on the charcoal and, you know, put your feet in the water. Maybe go rafting. Do a little fishing, then take a nice afternoon hike. This is, like I say, this is paradise, man. There's sacrifice for paradise. You're going to have to work for it. But if I'm telling you, man, there's hardly any people back here, and we may have this place to ourselves. If that's the case, I'll probably remember it even after I'm 80, 90 years old. That's how beautiful it is back here. And of course, not just beautiful, but the memories that you create. So we want to create some memories. In the process, we'll do a paranormal investigation at the cemetery. We'll also look for Bigfoot the next 3 days. Because, I mean, I am a cryptozoologist, so I always got to focus a little on tracks and vocalizations. I always almost get something when I camp. Here's Canyon Creek. This is the creek that runs through Bowman Lake. And it's trickling, so which means the waterfall's probably dead at Bowman Lake.
There's no water.
No water?
No water.
That scares me. There's a little pool of water, maybe a foot deep.
Less than a foot.
Yeah. So much for... I just dip my feet in the lake. Screw the creek.
Right.
We'll be camping near the creek and the lake, but... You know, whatever. We're at the bottom now, so instead of looking from on top of the ridge, we're going to be looking up at the mountains instead of, you know. But look at that. Oh, that's the dam. That's pretty spooky up there. That's high up. That thing burst, we're in trouble. It's probably the Bowman Lake Dam. Yep. On a dry creek, though. Here, folks, lots of rocks. And here you thought, oh, this guy's riding on pavement. That's nothing. I tried to tell you, folks. I tried to tell you that it gets psychotic as you go further and further in. I've been down these roads about 6 miles from here near Meadow Lake, and there's some roads with Jeep roads that require high clearance four-wheel, and we were up on cliffs, and I was riding on boulders and rocks, and that's only a few miles from here. These are major OHV roads back in here. I assume do we got to go this way, or? Oh. All these damn wagon roads. That one they don't want. That could be a mining road or PG&E. You know where the dam, they operate the dam.
There's a pole behind you, right directly behind you.
Put Paranormal Ghost Society. Then all the people bother me about Bigfoot coming to my camp. Tell me some Bigfoot stories. Oh yeah, there are little ponds everywhere. That's where you look for tracks. These little ponds where it's all muddy. You'll find animal tracks, Bigfoot tracks, human tracks. You'll find it all. Sometimes you don't find human tracks, so if it's a real good hidden pond, you'll find the strangest tracks. Like me and him at Meadow Lake, we went and found this little pond in the middle of nowhere in the woods, and there was like 3-4 Bigfoot tracks on each side of the lake, but nothing. They disappeared, like they just appeared in thin air, and they were huge. Like 15 inches and deep and wide, big-ass toes. It was pretty awesome. So that's what I hope to achieve here. I know where to search for tracks. I've been a cryptozoologist for years. You see, it's very narrow, so I had to let this guy pass. Because, you know, he's got to pick up, he's coming downhill. But we may not get lucky once we're on the lake shore because it gets narrow. It is what it is. It's heavily forested here. Everybody thinks that, you know, like I say, Tahoe National Forest means the forest around Tahoe, and it doesn't. We're like, you know, 40 miles away from Tahoe. It's a very big and dense forest. A lot of roads, a lot of major historic sites with accordance of the California Gold Rush in the 1840s, the Donner Party. This is a very old pioneer area. It's also one of the hottest Bigfoot spots in the world in this region. So you have to, it's very exciting for us to be here and go. Now here's where we start edging cliffs till we get to the lake. No big deal though. The road's not washed out. I'm pretty weighted down. I'm not gonna fly off. Wow. This climbs up and around through the canyon where Canyon Creek flows, and then the Bowman Lake. So Bowman Lake should be through the canyon here. You'll see the dam up here too. This is a good spot to take a picture of my Jeep. Oh yeah, maybe up here. Wow, that's pretty rugged. That's a good shot right here. Whew, we're almost there. very harsh brush. Tahoe is a very dense, harsh forest. This stuff will cut right into your boots and skin. And, I mean, it's not good. So you have to understand, folks, it is what it is. And we're in the middle of nowhere. That's why Bigfoot's sighted around here often, because look, would a human climb through all that to get to a peak? No. Some areas are off limits to humans, and that's where Bigfoot's found, and that's where I'm going to go today and tomorrow and Sunday at Bowman Lake. Yeah, this is not a good part here, is it? They're off-roading, these dogs. It's a four-wheel drive, and it's just a rocky road. It's not a road that's washed out like in Nevada. A lot of ghost town roads up in northern Nevada are washed out, or you can't even drive on them without almost getting stuck or bottoming out. At least here you can kind of dictate which rocks you want to drive over or around, or it's just bumpy. Of course, driving fast, I've seen people drive fast, they hit a stone and they get thrown off. They might just get flown off, or they might just fly right off a cliff. Because you get thrown 50, 60 feet, bam, there's cliffs everywhere. Of course, there won't be cliffs once we get past the canyon. It drops into this huge meadow and lake basin, and it's pretty flat out there. About 5,000 to 6,000 feet, but it's flat. It's a big ass valley, and with the lake, a couple lakes. Wright's Lake. You have Wright's Lake, Sawmill Lake, and Bowman Lakes in the middle of them both in this basin coming up, this lake basin. There, see, it gets better at times too. Now it's a little better. Still rocky though. Rocky is Rocky, and not my dog Rocky. So yeah, folks, you can decide if you want to take this. I think it's worth taking. It's bumpy, but it's still, if you see the scenery and the hikes and the waterfalls, all the little nature back here, it's worth going to. There may not be many people up here. People don't usually like to have to work to get to a place like this. They like to just go to a campground and pitch a tent in the woods and say, hey, I'm camping. That's not real camping. This is real camping. Make sure I check the car carrier in another mile. It's jostling around, but it's tied on. It's just, it moves.
Still there.
Yeah, it's still there. I'm gonna have to take that back. What a headache. They have ones that might clip in or lock in where you tighten it, and then we'll be all right. Holy shit! There's a boulder in the road. This isn't Bowman Lake. This is something else up here, but look, it is a camping area. Message posts. Look at all those signs. They're probably old. Solicitor, Lahit's, Pachel's, Kloss. There's Kloss back here. We're almost there, 18 end. Okay, now we're going to hit Meadow Lake Road. Meadow Lake.
In the forest maintained road.
Yep, next, we're about a mile from the lake. I'm going to check this. Good. Look, folks, it says, as Tammy was saying, end of Forest Service maintained road. I thought we were on a road that wasn't maintained with all the boulders, but I guess it's going to get a lot worse. I hear it gets worse the further you go in. The last 3 miles, well, there's Bowman Lake. Look, right there.
It is.
But yeah, They said that if you go past Bowman Lake, then the next 3 miles to Hennis Pass are treacherous. We've been back there off-roading. Remember, the Jeep was up
Cars
high.
down there.
Yeah, I know.
I hope it's not full. 'Cause if we went
That's
all
not
this
camping
way,
area.
I'd be pissed.
That's just primitive camping. You can camp anywhere on this lake. There's a lake past it, too. Bowman Lake, folks. And boy, yeah, you have to drive. The camp area is on the other end with the fire pits. And this is more of people parking fish here. Oh, there's people hiking. Holy shit, this place is beautiful. Wow. At least we're here. But you want to go to the camping area with the fire rings because that's up near the north end and away from people. Most people are not going to go any further. They're going to just come down here, and there's a little hiking trail down there. As long as they don't block me in. Let me see something. There's a vehicle down there, too.
Yeah, it's a boat.
Oh. I give you Bowman Lake. We were below it. There's a dam. You could see below the dam. It was kind of hard with the glare, but I'm sure you guys get the picture that here's the dam. We're going to be camping. This is where we're camping. Right on that, out near that peninsula. And then there's the creek and waterfalls. If you continue around the lake, there's Sawmill Lake, there's Wrights Lake. We can drive. Wrights Lake goes here. Sawmill Lake's over here. We're definitely going to go around the lake, do a little camping. It's beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful. Okay, folks, take the road around the lake. Out near the peninsula is where the camping area is. Of course, you can camp at other areas if you can find it close enough to the road. But if you go on this side of the lake where we're heading, straight down at the other end of the lake, they have a lot of the road flattens along the lake, and you can camp just about anywhere around on that end of the lake. And I'm gonna get a lakeshore spot, and if I can't get one, we'll go on. There's a couple other lakes nearby that have lakefront camping, dispersed camping, and it's all dispersed camping unless it's marked. But generally, you can camp anywhere on the lakes and the sierras or streams or creeks, as long as you have a fire permit. If you want to have a gas grill or charcoal. You get a fire permit, folks, when you want to come back here, like any wilderness place, and you can primitive camp. But you can see, we still got another mile to go until we get to our campsite. How pretty. That's a panorama right there. Give you a better view of the lake. That's why I got out. It's a very deep lake. It drops off right there. You can see at least 10 feet. Just there's a rock and it just drops off, and the water's very bluish green. It's one of the better lakes to fish in, so I look forward to doing a little trout fishing today too. There's a few islands or peninsulas, and there's an island over here. Yeah, folks, I mean, we're surrounded by mountains in this basin, very high cliffs. Anything could be up there. Caves, Bigfoot. Could be looking down in us now. But you can see there's nothing but seclusion. Oh, there's a boat. Oh. Yeah, I got my boat too, my raft. We can definitely go for a little joyride in that. I seen this in a video on YouTube. It's good people post videos of outdoors, not just me. That way I could get an idea at least what it looks like driving along the lake. It's very rocky. You gotta expect that from a rugged...
Yeah, I see tents and people.
Oh my God. Hold on.
I don't see it from back there.
If that's the campground, I don't know. I think it's a little further. We'll see. This is what it's like to stand in the middle. I am at the halfway point of Bowman Lake, east and west shores. Got the dam here, and the creek starts to ascend higher up into the Sierras here as it drains down. I trap it with the dam, release some water. It's very dry. They're not releasing much. It's because the lake's a little low. It's pretty nice. This is God's country. We work for it. You can see it's very rugged, but we work to get back here. I don't know if we'll be able to camp here. We may have to go further up the road and find a spot. We'll see what happens. It's pretty nice. Sawmill Lake's up ahead, so is Wrights Lake. They're pretty too. They're smaller, but you know, you're gonna find places to camp around here as long as we're in the area. It's all beautiful.
Hopefully those signs back there were ones that people didn't take down, because if not, there's not 10 people out, 10 groups.
Right. A lot of times people don't take them down. It's okay, Rocky Balboa. Little Rocky Balboa. He's happy to be here, I know that. Yeah, the fat dog just wants to get out and run, but he doesn't understand. It's like we're not there yet, man. Too excited. Stepping on my nuts and everything else. Bam, bam, bam. Lose my ability to have any more kids with that dog. Step on my balls, that's it. Gonads are no good anymore. Can't do nothing.
Okay, so this totally grosses me out.
What?
But,
There's slobber everywhere?
no. The singer for the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger.
Mick Jagger?
Mick Jagger's having a baby.
He had a what? A baby?
Yeah, his girlfriend's having a baby.
Wow.
He's 75. She's 28.
Oh,
That's just ridiculous.
This is not camping here, by the way. This is not. Oh wait, there is camping here, but
Look at you. I see.
not maintained. That must be the way to Wrights Lake. Maybe not. Message post. Only one's back here, so we're good because there's other camp spots areas here. Might be better off going to one of the littler lakes half-mile away. That way we know it's flat and we can pitch a tent. But we'll see what's up here. It's too steep to camp here, but it does get to the bottom. And then it flattens out with forest.
But you know his girlfriend, who's 20 years old, is only with him because he's Mick Jagger. Not because, not because she loves him or cares about him. She's with him because he's a...
For money? Gold digging woman?
Because
A lot of women are groupies that marry rock stars and they love the money and the look and all, but is it really love? Or is it because you were chasing the person and wanted to be, you know what I mean? Some people are gold diggers and shit.
Well, nobody has business having babies at 75.
At 75, yeah. Let's hope he lives another 20 years and he can at least raise his kid till the kid's out on his own. And not raise with his estate money. Should be other camping areas up here. If not, like I said, we'll go to Sawmill Lake. I guarantee nobody's up there.
There's one that they took it.
Oh, that's a good one right there. Overlooking the lake. But there was only one sign. So if we go, there's 2 to 3 more camp spots. So they all can't be taken. You know what I'm saying? I want to be on the lake, but, you know, a smaller lake nearby is fine, too. Because you can still walk to Bowman and hang out. I mean, it's all in the same area. All within a half-mile to a quarter-mile is each lake. Sawmill's just a little past. And then to the left is Wrights Lake. But there was only one sign past this point, which means the other camping areas up here should be open. Not necessarily. I mean, not everybody has signs to post. But some people do because they camp with friends. And
Those people want a little bitty fucking Saturn.
look at the islands, man. Right, a little Saturn.
There you go, Jared. You can paddle out to the island.
Nope, I'm good.
The basin's extremely steep that we're in, so you can't camp on the sides here, but like I say, we get lower and lower, it'll be to a point we could just pitch camp anywhere at that point.
I can't believe those people drove back here last Saturday.
Yeah, and then they took up the spot, and now they'll probably get stuck back here and ask me to pull them out or something.
Right.
Serious. Sorry. Don't drive your little sedan back here, man. You know what I mean? It's rocky. It's not. It can be done. I used to do stuff like that, but this is the wilderness. You have to have a greater respect for this place, and make sure you have the right equipment. See, it goes down and around. We'll find something. It's going to take a little bit, just like with any camping spot or a loon lake. We had to take time, but we will find stuff.
Sure we will.
I got a place we can look up here anyways. It's still rocky, but it's not as bad as the other section of road. May have to get my damn GPS out, but this will take us to Sawmill Lake. It's smaller, but you still get the view of the lakes and all that. Of course, there is other campsites coming up. This is probably one, but it's probably too steep. It's probably not flat there. Too bad they don't mark shit saying, hey, here's a spot. Or of course, we want shade too. So if I have to go at the other end of the lake to get it, I'll do it. Big lake, huh? A couple miles long, man, it seems. Oh yeah. Did you get the gist, folks? Bowman Lake. There used to be a house on this lake and a mining camp and a couple other structures. Some mining camps had stores and saloons. So this area did have, in the 1800s, it wasn't desolate. I mean, there was human beings that lived up here and mined and lived at some of the ghost towns that are a few miles from here. But once you get to the end of the lake, we can make a better decision. Wow. It's paradise, man. Just want to show you different views of the lake as I'm traveling along. It's still rugged. Not as bad as we go around the north, or as we cover the eastern edge of the lake. It's not, the road's not bad, but it'll get terrible in about a mile. Really terrible. So we're gonna have to find a spot to camp. There's Sawmill Lake over here, which we might camp at instead of on this lake. Less people, better chance of investigating Bigfoot at night. More isolated. Marshy, good for tracks. See how narrow it gets? I seen this in a video of them going past these rocks, and they go all the way to this end of the lake. There's the creek up here, and you can camp near the creek and the lake. There's other camping spots up here, so I'll find us something cozy and nice. I will. And away from people, because there is a few campers up here. Of course, they don't want to go all the way down here. This is cliffs and ruggedness. They got cars, they can't do it. Well, they could, but you get stuck up here, you're screwed. You go over the edge, you're screwed. Parts of it are. Ooh, that rock's sticking out, man. It's flat at least and not pointy. Off, please, rascal. You can't ride in the front. You're not my co-pilot. You can be the co-pilot from the back. See, it gets lower. Now we're going to start gracing the edge of the water instead of being up above on cliffs. Then we can find a spot. It doesn't even have to have a fire ring or bench. We got seats. We can make a fire ring if I had to, but on this rocks. Wow, man. You know how steep it is? You can't even go up to the peaks here. Look at that. I never realized that this lake was so big, man. I figured it was okay size, but look at that. Wow. See, this is a nice part of the lake. I doubt we'll see humans on this end of the lake. People tend to stick to the fire pits and the picnic benches and what the norm is. But me, nah. I go wherever. I don't care. If I can do it, I'll do it. Yeah, it drops off. Cliffs. You don't see too many lakeside cliffs in the Sierras. I mean, you'll see ones above the basin and the ridges, but not along the edge of a lake this high up. It's This is an old wagon road. It takes you to the Hennis Pass. Actually, this road takes you through Meadow Lake, Weber Station, Hennis Pass, then Sierraville. The farming semi-ghost town. So it hits all these little semi-ghost towns. But it's a rugged area. See, there's a campsite down there. See down there? I think there's a couple out this way. Huh? I'm thinking it is because I've seen it on the map. You're not going to get people that are going to come this way because it's rugged. Those people got cars and shit. A lot of them. They don't have four-wheel drive. Not one person. There's got to be a road. If I can find a road, see those trees? You can pitch your tent down here in the trees. I want to be on a... Yep. It's a camp spot. And there's nobody there. Right up here.
What do you want?
This is shadier to the left.
Yeah. Rascal, sit. Down.
What do you think?
Yeah,
Good fishing spot right here. In the cove. This is in the cove. But it still overlooks the lake at the end of the peninsula.
Oh, and look, it's actually got a built-in part of it. Okay, that's good, man. I don't want to get too close to it.
Let's scope it out. There's other spots too further up the lake, but we can look here. This looks good. Find an area. Rascal, come on. Come on. He needs a stretch. Come on, Rocky. Rocky. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come here. Here. Go. You're a Catahoula. Go. Right? That'll work. Oh, wow. Look how nice this is back in here. Look. Look, dude.
What?
Look at the peak. Look at the view.
Right down there.
I'm gonna launch the boat right here.
Yeah.
Sawmill Lake is just up the road.
Yeah.
We could almost hike. It's probably only like...
We could just swim across with the boat. That's good.
Sawmill Lake is right over here.
Yeah.
Like if you go around the lake right here,
Yeah.
we'll probably hike to it tomorrow. So, and then we'll hike to Wrights Lake Sunday, which is close by too. Look, Jared. I'm thinking about putting the tent right under here, dude. Look. Right here.
Yeah.
Look, with the...
Nice. And then we can build like a campfire. Like right here. Right here.
Dude, look. We could raft in here.
Yeah, I know.
Right down in here.
This is sweet. That's one good spot.
This is a good spot, huh?
Yeah, and look at the view. Jesus.
The peaks?
Yeah.
I got all the names of these peaks.
Yeah.
There's Bowman Peak.
Yeah, we were thinking right here.
Did you see somebody left all their shitty toilet paper up there?
Really?
There's shit all over the toilet.
That's, yeah, human beings, man. They don't bury it. I bury my toilet paper, so it's in 7 days it disappears.
That's a good spot right there. Come on, Rocky, let's go in the water. Come on, Bush.
Wow. Little cove to fishing. This is nice, man. I knew this place would be worth coming to. I knew it. Just had a feeling. A gut feeling. So we got lots of lizards, folks. Rascals in the water. Hey, buddy.
Feel better now? You got yourself a drink?
What? Too much work to carry it all the way.
Down here?
Oh, okay, we have to do that.
Yeah, chairs, tent, all that. Cooler, everything, dude. I think we're better off being at the high point overlooking everything. That way we can walk down and...
Walk down here.
If you want to go down here with the raft or whatever, we can do that.
Is that water cold?
I don't know. It's our own little private spot, and I can fish off the peninsula or on the other side of this where it gets deep.
I might even go swimming.
You bring swim.
Oh, wow, this is nice.
Okay, cool.
I brought swim trunks too.
Swimming ready, dude.
Look at him, he's so happy.
Down in there.
Right? I seen this on the map, the peninsula, and I thought how cool it'd be to camp on the peninsula, and then like you could see above the little cove, and I'm thinking, oh, I could fish at the cove, boat in the cove, sit in the water on the cove. I don't want to be in the main lake part where there's people. This is like our own little taste slice of heaven right here. So it's scenic, but there's Red Peak, I think. You have Bowman Peak, and then you have Red Peak. It's very scenic. It's or Red Hill. They call it Red Hill beyond these trees. Rascal. And there's you can see other peaks from different vantage points. Tomorrow we'll go to Sawmill Lake. Sunday we'll go to Wrights Lake. And then finish off the day at the ghost town, and then we'll spend the next day fishing, looking for tracks. Oh, we're gonna do the waterfall hike, guys. That's up over here at the end of the lake. Well, no, that's because the dam, they got it dammed off. But up here, it'll still be flowing into the lake. It flows all year. A snake? A blue snake?
Blue and gold.
Where? Oh,
Shit. That's cool.
Rascal, get out. You're going to scare it.
Rascal, go.
Blue and gold. Huh? It's a new tent.
So is it?
It's a new tent, a new adventure.
Oh my god, this bee's back.
No, we got to turn it around. I'm going to kill that bee.
Do it.
I'm going to kill it.
Let me see a stick off
I want to find that golden snake, man. That was beautiful, and my dog scared it off, so he scares everything off. Butterflies, wildlife. I can never get good wildlife pictures with these around. Okay. Well, folks, I forgot that when I bought this tent, I bought it at a yard sale. It was in good shape. It's real dirty now. It's the first time ever using it. And so I got a little funny story. The guy didn't know how to fold it into the bag, and I bought this thing like about 6 to 8 months ago in the winter, so we couldn't use it. And he put the poles separately, right? So what I had to do is I had a makeshift tent. I brought rope, and I hung it from the one side of the tree, and I hung it from the other side. The middle's a little sunken in, and what I'll do is I'll put an air mattress, and what I'll do is I'll put my sleeping bags in the middle. It's a 3-bedroom tent. But the middle, it came with the poles attached in the middle, and the poles won't lock. The poles are supposed to be a dome in the middle, and then you put the poles on the side. I don't have the side poles, so what I was going to do is the middle poles and lift it. Well, the middle poles keep busting out and stuff. Shit happens, you bring camping gear, it busts, it breaks, the poles break. So the poles are kind of busted. I just bought this tent, and the guy had it set up. I was like, I'll take it. And he was having a lot of problems with it, folding it up, and somehow it keeps, like, you'll put it on top and light it through all the holes, and then you turn around, it's like, holy shit. It twists on the top, and then you can't lock at the bars. There's nothing to really lock them in. So what we did, Jared, Tabby, and I, is we hung rope from here. And rope from here. And then when we pull it all out with the stakes, it'll still be a pretty decent sized tent. Surprisingly. Enough room for us to sleep in. That way we're out of the elements. The bugs. I seen a snake. Huh? Another what? Two what?
See him picking out on the bottom?
And then there's one on the bottom rock right under the sleeping bag. You see him?
Yeah.
There's a little one on top and a bigger one on bottom. I swear to God, if I put my feet in my sleeping bag tonight.
And I also had to do a makeshift cargo carrier. I had to take my cargo carrier and makeshift or secure it. I also had bought a cargo carrier to go on the top of my Jeep. Well, find out my Jeep has no crossbars. It has the rack on top, but it doesn't have the crossbars. So we had to mount it with 4
or 8 ropes at each end, and then tie it to the rack and secure it. And it worked. I mean, I went down bumpy roads, it held, it didn't really move. But now we gotta, our next battle is this tent. Once we get the tent up, you know, we can do some fishing. We have this little hidden cove where we can do some rafting and swimming down here. Look at that. Rascal's in the water. I'm gonna go swimming in there. Whew. And cool on off. Let me get these steaks pounded in and I'll show you the final results. You know, in the apocalypse, you don't have amenities. You may make makeshift tents. You may not have poles and all that good stuff. You do what you gotta do. It's about all you can really do. You gotta make it work sometimes. The tent's up. It's not perfect, but considering a couple of the poles weren't locking, and then we didn't bring all the poles, it's still not bad now that it's up. A little low, but you can see inside there's a whole giant room, and Jared, my son, has his own room right here. Look at that. So it'll work. It'll fit everything. All right, folks, I'm gonna have a break and then finish setting up camp. This is Lord Rick. On with the show, the Bigfoot show. Bigfoot camp. Makeshift Bigfoot camp. We're pretty handy. Like I said, the cargo carrier didn't fit on my Jeep, so that was a pretty good idea to bracket the corners and then secure it that way on each end using rope and triple tying it and then taking each of the 2 ropes and tying it together. It really held. I was on the highway today, only 70 miles an hour and off-roading, and it did just fine. So, but we have a tent, so at least we'll be out of the elements. No bugs, no raccoons crawling on our face. Once had a mountain lion take a crap near my head, sleeping under the stars. Woke up the next day at Job's Peak. Here, dude, why don't you let me handle it? Came back, had a mountain lion. I was sleeping, woke up, looked to my right or my left, a pile of fresh crap. I had a mountain lion like a foot away from my face, probably sniffing my face, trying to lick my face when I'm sleeping.
Another one.
You have another one?
Yeah, that one.
Well, we got a nice sized room here.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be able to fit. It might be makeshift, but whatever works, right? We'll make it work. You don't have luxuries when you're in the wilderness. If your poles or whatever break, sometimes you have no choice but to tie rope or do what you got to do. Huh? Rascal, get over here. He's chasing every bird and
Get it
chipmunk.
off the ground. I'm just dragging it. The bottom's gone.
I'm going to rip the bottom open. Oh, wow. So we're leaving. Jesus. It's so slippery. We're leaving our campsite and we're going to take the old stage route that about 10,000 gold miners used during the California gold rush to travel along this lake to Virginia City. Not too far from here was a foundry. There's also a mine about a mile away on Quartz Hill, and there's a tunnel that was built. We'll see it near the creek today if we happen to check out the waterfalls, but we're going to hike along the waterfalls and kind of get some nice vista points above the lake. Then we'll come back and we'll fish, maybe raft and swim, and then tomorrow we'll get a little more serious with Wright's Lake, Sawmill Lake, and then Sunday we'll go up to a ghost town. There's a cemetery nearby, nice historic ghost town. It's a very historic area, and you know, there's a lot of little ghost towns. Malkoff Diggings, which is only a few miles from here and it's a historic site, and you can go to it. It's like a mining camp that still exists today.
It's kind of preserved, not too far. We might even see it Sunday. They're having a wave of Bigfoot sightings and tracks. This has been going on for 50 years, but the last few years, I've been reading on message boards that they're finding a lot of tracks and Bigfoot evidence, and that's just a few miles from this lake. But you can see this is rough terrain, and so it's hard to off-road here in certain areas. It's very steep. No human's going to go up straight up there. That's straight up almost. Very steep incline. Oh, look at this. I'm going between the trees. And the woods are very dense. And so they get a lot of, there's a lot of Bigfoot activity in the region, and we're kind of here to look for that, but have a good time. And what we find is what we find. If we find nothing, well, at least we could say we camped on a peninsula in one of the most beautiful lakes in the Sierras. Very rocky roads. These are mining roads to Nevada City and other towns like Washington, Allegheny, Baltimore Town, Bloomfield, Malakoff Diggings, Graniteville, Weber Lake. And I could just keep going on and on. Some of them are ghost towns today. Some you could drive past on a dirt road and never knew it existed. But there was over 10,000 men mining back here at one time. And they had families, and there was saloons and along the road and little stage stops for the immigrants traveling on these wagon roads. But I want to talk more about the history and death when we hike above the lake. So I'll save some history for you guys and a much more scenic view than just riding through the woods. For now, just enjoy the ride, sit back, see what the Tahoe Forest has to offer. We're going to head up on the Bowman Lake Trail. Is this the split to Wright's Lake? Oh, that's nice. A big-ass butterfly. There's a split here, because you have a bunch of lakes. And there's some secret ponds I want to check out tomorrow. We have a good chance of finding real tracks up here. But what place offers as much as it offers? Like this. Kayaking, fishing, camping, historic sites, cemetery, trails, boating. It's hard to get back here, but this site offers everything. And here's a sign up here. We have to get used to this because we're going to go to Graniteville. Oh, see, this is the campground here. Of course, this is kind of in the woods. Look at that, how rough that is down there. They have 8 spots down there, but wait, 4, 10, I think. But they're really, it's on a peninsula at the end of the lake. The problem is, I think the hike and travel, the waterfall might be down here, but I don't know. The problem is that they're not on the lake. There's a restroom, look.
Yeah, it's a campground down there.
Let me show you if I don't know if the trail to the fucking waterfall is this way, or if I gotta keep going. Not really. I tried.
Oh, he's on Rocky now.
All right, let's check out the creek. Oh yeah. There it is, the Bowman Tunnel. The water's really deep, you can't walk in it. Yep. Nevada Irrigation Milton Bowman Tunnel. Somewhat historic. I'll go on the bridge, I guess. Might have to go down further to get to the trail. So go ahead, folks, and we'll stand on the bridge. I'll see if I can get some pictures. The rapids are flowing quite well. I'm thinking we should have a pretty good time finding our way to some of the nice vista points where the falls are located. These rapids are flowing, so we can definitely hike today for a couple hours before sunset, and then I'm going fishing. Wow. Rocky will be fine. He's a dog. He'll crawl to the side where the water's slow.
Yeah, water's flowing. Who? Rascal?
Yeah, you went up there, you went down.
Do you want to go in the campground, look at the kiosk right there? There's
Let's
a
do
kiosk.
it.
What do you think? Jared, I want a picture. Wow. I didn't know this place existed. Look at this. A lot of people, though. Wow. Come on. Woo. Rocky. Come on. That's pretty nice. Come on, Rascal. Hi. Come on, boys. Come on, boys. Oh, wow. Nice pretty country back in here, folks. You can tell there's some mining that was done. We're just on the other side of that cove. No, dude, we gotta go look for the falls trail. I'm just coming here to chill. Get back to camp, you can. Dude, you'll have plenty of time to swim. Yeah. Check out this good stuff. It's good nature. Good hiking. Yeah. Right here. What the hell? You see how steep he just went down to the water? That's like straight down. Now look, he can't get out. Dude, that's like almost straight down and he just walked.
Show him how to get back up.
Oh my god. Look at him go. Holy shit. If I couldn't do that even. Must be nice to have 4 legs, right? Now watch. Watch how hard it is. You're slipping. He just did it with ease, dude. Not even one slip. Damn dog. Give me 4 legs. Look at the shimmer. It's like out of a movie. It's like surreal. All the little peninsulas and islands. Look at that little cove you can go into. See it straight out? It's just, look at that tiny little inlet. And it's back in there. You could probably camp too. Take a kayak back in there and go camping. Some people do that. Or a rowboat. Newman Zone. Bigfoot gulped it.
Right.
Rocky. I see him looking. He knows. Rascal I'm not worried about. Rascal seems to not care about other dogs. Those are those boaters, man.
Go walk slow. Rocky, no. Rocky.
Look at that fire pit.
No.
Wow. See how narrow it is? That's why it looks like there's a lot more rapids. They channeled it using a narrow tunnel, and then it pours out onto the creek down into the lake. You got to be real careful on this bridge. You can see, folks, how harsh it is. This is why there's so many Bigfoot sightings, because this forest is one of the harshest forests in the Sierras. I mean, this is almost certain deadly terrain. If you have no outdoor experience and you decide to wander off the trail, you could almost meet certain deaths, I can assure you. Whether it's dehydration, lack of food, getting lost, animals, wild animals, falling off a cliff, getting cut up, and you can have a reaction where you'll cramp up. Earlier I had a reaction. I got stung by multiple bees while putting up the tent, and wasps. I had a little bit of a reaction, and then I think to myself, if you get cut up by some of this brush, you can go into shock. I have before. And if you're stuck in the middle of nowhere, you're screwed. Huh?
I've been out there for days.
For days? I'm filming. It's a PGS production. That's what I've been doing. It's a PGS production. Everything's rigged today. Even the carrier. It's just sitting on the top, roped up. But it works. You do whatever it takes. Whatever works, works, right? Alright, see if we can find some waterfalls. Look at them geese. The creek should be up here. And there should be a waterfall trail. Those guys are diving off the rocks.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff out here to do. This place is, I mean, you think of Lake Tahoe, all there is to do, but when you come to a place like this, it's, look, you could pitch a tent here. I mean, it's just phenomenal what you could do out here. There's so much to see and do and explore. Not just history, but trails and marshy areas and waterfalls. There's a 100-foot waterfall if we can find it.
There's a fire pit
Underwater.
Yeah. That's going to help us, right?
All the trees are down in the water. It must be higher than normal.
It depends if they dam it all. They might be damming it all. Look, this is a beautiful little spot.
Look, that's how ours is supposed to look.
Alright, yeah.
Shut up, Gary.
Well, ours don't look that way. Everything's been rigged. My cargo carrier, my fucking tent. But I'm alive. I guess that has to count for something. Is there the creek right here? Cause some of it's very rocky. They call it Sawmill Lake because there used to be a lumber camp back here. You needed a lumber camp so that way you could provide the lumber for the local mines and some of the homesteads and saloons and small town sites and mining camps that were up here. See, the road gets good, it gets bad. Sawmill Lake, half a mile. If you get to Sawmill Lake, get to the ghost town in Wright Lake. It's Wright Lake? No, Weaver. I keep saying Wright Lake.
I know, I'm like, there's no Wright Lake.
Weaver Lake and the ghost town are a couple miles apart. And then there's Lake Murray, or McMurray Lake. That's small. It's almost a pond. That's next to Weaver Lake. And then Sawmill Lake's decent size, but it's more marshy, but you can still hike along it. And then there's Grouse Ridge. I'm thinking to get to the waterfalls, you got to start at Grouse Ridge to see them. Which we could do that tomorrow. I mean, we don't have to. We got 3 days to play around. As long as I get to see Sawmill Lake or some lake today, I'll be happy. Something, you know? These roads are pretty fucking crazy. It's like, yeah, I know they're not maintained. I can tell. Grouse Ridge is a huge hiking area. It's all I ever hear on the web. Grouse Ridge, Grouse Ridge. All I ever hear with Bigfoot, Grouse Ridge. A lot of Bigfoot up by Grouse Ridge. It's an amazing ridge. A nice view of the Sierras. I'm not heavy. Good thing our stuff's unloaded. Then look, the road gets good again. You see that shit? Look, it's just gravel now. After riding through all them boulders and rocks. Should be coming up on this lake. It's only like a mile and a mile. You dogs have no clue to what's going on except you're outdoors.
Right. I'm like bouncing around everywhere.
That's what I'm saying, man. Bouncing and shit, and they don't even know.
Looks like he's sick. Real sick.
It's like Meadow Lake, man. So like Nevada roads back here. A lot of roads in Nevada are like this. And you just gotta brave them.
And I swear there's a car up there.
There is. Yeah, it's a dirt bike. Malakoff Diggings. It's a historic site that you can visit in the ghost town. Yeah, I do gold panning and but they get a lot of Bigfoot and other strange stuff up there. So the lake's right up here. You can see the open area through the trees. I know. Flat is good. Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. My GPS always says 2 miles, 2 miles. And then I look and find out that we have more than 2 miles to go to some stupid lake. Better be some Bigfoot tracks. I think that waterfall thing is by Grouse Ridge, but we'll look. There should be some signs and shit. Yeah, you might want to look on my GPS. I have Sawmill Lake already marked when you view it. It's on the right-hand side. This is just some pond scum. Good place to check for tracks. Small little ponds like these. Now, I'm not going to waste my time because right away I can tell you there's not even there's a couple human sneakers and that's it. No deer tracks or anything like that, but still it gives you an idea. If you want to look for tracks in this region, don't go to the major lakes. Too many people. But these little offbeat ponds and bodies of water have mud along the shores, and you might get a good Bigfoot track. Because these are primitive creatures. They don't like to really go out in the open. Nah, there's other vehicles here. Well, yeah, there's camping here. I looked on the map and thought, well, if I can't find a place, I'll go to Sawmill Lake. It's just very rugged back here. I mean, people still try to bring cars, which is stupid. A Jeep, maybe. An SUV, maybe. A car, no. There's some huge rocks. Pretty little lake. No, it doesn't.
Right? The hell is this damn parking lot? They always do this shit. I'm gonna park here. We can walk down there. There's the dam and the lake. Nice little camp spot here. Oh yeah. Wow. So we're heading to Sawmill Lake, folks. And Tammy is right. It does get very bad. That's why I decided to park where we're at right here. You can see. It does. The road gets very rugged. But you can see I parked up here on the hill. Because I wasn't going to take this anymore. It's rough on my tires and I've been on it for miles now. However, going to Sawmill Lake is a little bit of an honor. Because we get to actually visit a very secluded lake. I mean, this lake is not very well visited. It's increased in activity over the years because a lot of people want to hike out here. This is Grouse Ridge area, and I mean, it's a beautiful ridge. The Bigfoot sightings around here, I've read reports about giant 16-inch tracks, vocalizations, people being chased, couple Bigfoot sightings as well by some pretty credible witnesses. So when I read reports like that, what I try to do is go out to these places and follow up on those reports and see if, you know, maybe being an investigator, we can go in and maybe do a little bit more to elaborate on these cases. But, you know, these lakes, these smaller lakes are good places to track find. They're also good places to do some backpacking. Rascal, what are you doing? But a lot of people come up here for Grouse Ridge. Look at this road. These roads are psychotic up here. I'm done, man. That's why I parked. I can't take it anymore. It's like 4 miles, man, 3-4 miles of boulders I was climbing. You do what you got to do within a certain means, but any more is just detrimental. So, folks, I'll show you the peaks later when we get back to the lake. I was wrong. But you have English Peak up here. And English Peak, let me tell you about English Peak. We've been below it where we found Bigfoot tracks. We've been in this area. French Lake is over here. This is the dam. I also found out how to get to the waterfalls. You got to go back at the end of the lake, across the dry creek, and it splits to another creek, and you can follow it to the top of the waterfalls. So tomorrow, in the morning, after breakfast, I'm taking my family to see some waterfalls. Even if, well, those won't trickle. That's supposed to be active all year. The falls won't be as intense as spring, but they'll still be quite vibrant. They'll still be flowing. Hey, Jared, that's English Peak. Remember? Remember we took Rocky to French Lake and found those Bigfoot tracks last year with your brother? Remember that? Sure, why not?
Okay.
Come on, Rascal. Oh. Give you my hand. You need a hand, little lady? Look at your legs. Damn dog's been abusing you, man. Almost looks like I'm abusing you, and it's a friggin' fat-ass bulldog stepping on you.
I stepped on a boulder and it rolled.
A rock. There's no boulders. Oh, you got it? Come on, Rascal. Come on. Come on, Rocky. Come on.
Come on, guys.
Now we're going to cross the dam, folks, because I want to show you the pretty scenery. Woo-hoo-hoo! This is awesome, dude. Crossing Sawmill Lake. Dude. Holy crap, dude.
Oh no, what is that?
Rocks, wood, I don't know.
Whoa, what is that?
Coming to? Was it worth coming to this lake? Isn't it pretty here? Look at all the scenery. No. Tomorrow where those guys are jumping, the creek's on the other side. We'll go where those guys were diving, and you follow the creek, and it'll take us to the waterfalls. And yes, they are still active even in the summer. They don't dry out. They're not huge in the summer. Huh? Yeah. Okay, Rock. Yeah. Yeah, Rascal was so... He couldn't move. He was dizzy.
I better not be dizzy tomorrow.
Dogs are meant to swim.
It's not like he's gonna sink. I mean, he'll float just. Yeah, Rascal better not fall in. I don't want to have to dive in and save his ass. I will if I have to. This dam's huge. But see, we can go around the corner and find a nice little area to picnic at. This is what it's about, guys. Hiking and checking out places. I like it, you know. I just hate the road. The road is... Those wagon roads are ridiculous. Thin ice, danger. Oh, there's a swimming area. So nice of them.
You can see down at the bottom. Holy crap. Wow.
Wow. Jesus. This is weird. No, right here. Just cross right here. There's no gash. Yes, I know, it's fine. This is intense, man. And we're crossing it. I mean, we're below the dam. It's the trout.
Yeah. Can I go swim in this?
Maybe on the way back, dude, but...
Alright.
Wow. It's kind of dry, the creek, but I bet you in the spring, I bet you the water pours over and covers these rocks. I bet you the water is quite deep here. It's quite the workout. Lots of rock scrambling here. Rascal, go, man. Go. Go. It's pretty cool, huh? To be below the dam. Right here to your right. It's fish trapped in these pools. Wow. Whew. Oh, dude. Look, there's a trail right here. He fell off the log. Come on, Rocky. Over here's dry. Rascal seems to like to participate in the drinking of the Sawmill Lake water. Dude, this lake is really secluded. Do you realize we're in the middle of the fucking Sierras?
Yeah.
This is, part of my French, but this is in the middle of nowhere right now. I mean, to get to this lake is like you gotta go over boulders for miles, man. But we did it. Here's the trail right here. See it? It's a lakeside trail. There's a trail. Goes along the lake. We're gonna find a spot up here to break at. It's a lake trail. You gotta go across the dam and this shit to get to it, but the heart of Bigfoot country. We found some Bigfoot evidence near here. There's been a lot of reports, so I know these creatures exist. And there might be one watching now. It's okay to be adventurous. It's not really a marked trail on any maps. However, it is a trail that we can hike on and visit. Here we go. Yeah, this must be the Sawmill Lake trail. Most lakes in the Sierras have a trail that goes around. Not all of them. Bowman Lake really doesn't. Very rocky. steep shoreline. Wow. What?
Oh boy. Good jumped.
What? What? Oh, mushroom? Yeah. Some kind of fungus. Yep. Looks probably poisonous. Looks like something's been biting on it, but certain fungus out here and mushrooms are poisonous. Some you can eat and survive. Some of them will kill you in minutes. Truffles and shit. Go on, rascal. Let's get to a nice little peninsula. Rocky's happy. Rocky's like, I'm in heaven right now. Freedom, good outdoors. He's got wet. He's climbing stuff. Happy dog. Very happy.
Oh, I missed it by a little bit.
So I'm gonna break here. You're gonna look for Bigfoot tracks?
No, we're gonna break on the lake. You gotta go a little further. No, on the lake. We'll find a spot down this way. Come on. Just a few hundred feet more. Dry creek. In the spring it's flowing. Many creeks flow in the spring. And in the summer, they cease to exist. Losing the trail. Follow me. A little trail down to the water. Whew. That wasn't good. Someone's shooting their guns. There we go. Staying around the middle of the lake here. Rocky!
Come on, Rocky.
Rocky, over here.
Over here, Rocky.
He's coming. He's a little slow. He's a...
Oh, baby. Now go stand by Daddy and shake off.
Oh, hey!
Asshole.
Oh my god.
Watch, I'll get Rascal. Now you're stuck in there. Look at you. It's only up to his chest, unless I throw him out, but he's too heavy to throw. Now he's like, ah, that feels good, Daddy. Now watch, he's gonna shake. Here it comes.
There. You did good. You can swim, can't you? Caterpillar.
Rocky's a good dog. He knows how to swim.
Yeah. What's new?
I wouldn't throw him in if he couldn't swim. That'd be stupid.
That would.
Rascal can't swim. Rocky can swim. Rocky swims every time we go to the lake. Even if I throw him in, he knows. He'll cool him up. Jesus. Folks, we're about 20 miles from Nevada City. And they had different mining districts, even by Sawmill Lake. You had Eureka District, or mining district, not too far from Graniteville, which is a few miles from here. The Emigrant Gap District, heavy Bigfoot area, but also they had a lot of mines, including the Gaston mine. There's also something called the Ice House mine or Arctic mine. I don't know why they call it that. And then they have the American Hill District. You know, the point is that during the gold rush, this lake had a tent camp. People there was a lumber mill, and there was men. There could have been a couple hundred men living on this very lake, taking this very trail that you see that we're on. Now, my other camera busted, so we're using a different camera. So if the audio or it seems different, it's just because it's a different model of camera. It'll still work for film and footage, and it's Tammy's camera, and it does take some really colorful pics. But it also does okay with the video, and enough to give you an idea of the area, so that if we come back, we're going to come back up here and do more work. You'll be able to see a little bit of what it's like. But they called this the Allegheny Washington Gold Belt, and Tammy was telling me she's seen some gold out here. What?
Fish are just fucking huge.
Oh, the fish? Yeah, by the way, folks, Sawmill Lake has huge fish. The problem is, very few people can get back here unless they have an ATV, a dirt bike, or a very decent Jeep with good wheels, of course, or because there's a lot of sharp rocks. And, you know, yeah, most of the mining was from the 1860s, 1900, but the first white men came here probably around 1850 and started all these little towns like Washington and Allegheny and Baltimore Town and Graniteville and Meadow Lake, all miners. And then, of course, you have the Malakoff diggings nearby, near Graniteville, which is still a semi-ghost town today. The cemetery still stands in a few homes. So we're sitting on the shores of, probably in about the middle of Sawmill Lake. I love it back here. I love it back here. The dogs have gone swimming. But this is during, you know, you have Meadow Lake that's not far from here. It's a few miles away. And we camped here last year in like September, and it was just gorgeous around the end of September and the beginning of October. But these reservoirs were formed by the miners. A lot of miners and masons had built these, you know, that they dammed off a lot of the creeks. And for example, Meadow Lake in 1858 was the first permanent structure in the region. It had a stone wall 900 feet. Meadow Lake, known as Excelsior, had about 5,000 to 10,000 people at one time, and that's about 6 miles from here. And we'll get more into Meadow Lake tomorrow. I'll talk more about it. But in 1860, Henry Hartley arrived. You know, eventually when the town was abandoned and it wasn't making no money from its gold and silver, everybody left but him. He was a hermit, and they found him, I guess, murdered up here. Bigfoot? I don't know. But he was found, I think, with a broken neck or something. I don't know the whole story. There's multiple stories, but his friends found him. And so, a lot of strange stories up here like that. But in the town's heyday of Meadow Lake, which was during 1865 to 1868, some of the men that were living in Meadow Lake also may have worked at the sawmill on this lake a few miles, which is, you know, Meadow Lake's just a few miles up a wagon road. It's rough terrain. But a lot of the men looking for work would work in the mines around this lake and the mills that were surrounding these lakes. This has become, these lakes were ponds, and then they dammed off the creeks, like you could see the dam, to create these reservoirs, which would later be used as a water supply for the towns and so forth. But I mean, you know, you have to look at Meadow Lake. I mean, even Samuel Clemens' brother, Mark Twain, Mark Twain's brother, Orion, had came to this area and probably stood on the shores of this lake in 1866. And, well, there's gold. But Meadow Lake, it had 500 buildings, a plaza, stables, stores, hurdy-gurdy houses, 10,000 square foot plaza with shops and entertainment. It had more saloons than any ghost town in California. I think they said almost 200 saloons at its peak. And it dropped eventually to 100 residents. A lot of them moved on to other mines in this region, including the ones that are at Bowman Lake. And I don't know if, I've heard there's a couple mines near Sawmill Lake, but this lake was mainly used for its lumbering, and you can see all the forest around it. And so they would have just below the dam here probably a lumber mill. The water would power the lumber mill, and then they could cut the logs. They could log the trees along the lake here, because these are second generation trees. You could tell the area's been logged. You don't have no fourth or fifth generation trees. These are very new. These trees are only like 20 years old, some of them very small trees. So the area was heavily lumbered. And yes, there is Bigfoot in this area. We have gotten some evidence. But we'll talk more about Meadow Lake. That's just one of the towns. Meadow Lake, Excelsior, or Summit City, they're all the same. Whatever you call it by, they are all the same. And Meadow Lake is only, if you go along this road right here, and you go up over those mountains, you can hit Meadow Lake. And I've hiked on the other side of those mountains. So I'm very familiar with this area, and I've always wanted to see these lakes back here because they're hard to get to. They're secluded. The fishing's said to be awesome. There's a couple really beautiful peaks, like the peak out in front of us. It's God's country here. It really is. But this is the Wild West, you know, and these dams are some of the only historic remnants of the past, because they were built around the gold rush and the mining days, and over 10,000 men passed this lake during the gold rush to get to the mines and places like Nevada City and Meadow Lake. And so they would have to see this lake that I'm sitting on the shores of. I'm definitely going to come back with more footage, but I just want to give you guys a little history of the region. And I'm going to go ahead and have a smoke, a drink, and get back to the vehicle so we can do some fishing back at Bowman Lake. It's Lord Rick. Check us out, www.paranormalghostsociety.org. Peace out. Wow, it's hard to find the trails back here, but as long as we follow the lake. Rascal, wrong way, dude. Whew. That was a good lake, guys. That's a nice lake hike. Tomorrow we'll do the waterfalls and stand above Bowman Lake. And then we'll go to Graniteville and Weaver Lake Sunday. And then head home. Got to make do with what we got. Whether it's a makeshift tent, or cargo carrier, or a camera, or whatever we got, we'll do it. Got to make it work. We're going to go back and do some fishing. At least get the lines in the water, dude. Get them in the water. Let the trouts hook themselves. They're feeding right now. And then we'll turn around and, I don't know, dip my feet, go rafting, whatever. If we get back in time. It's going to get dark soon. This is kind of a deep basin. It gets dark early out here. Rascal. Come on. Come on, Rascal. Come on, Rascal. Come on. Come on, boy. Nice little private camp spot. There's a lot of nice private little camp spots back here I love. Like you backpack in. You can pitch a tent. It's beautiful. A lot of Bigfoot back in here. I'm sure if you camped here for the night, I'm sure you'd hear some vocalizations, or you'd hear vocalizations, or hear something coming through the woods checking you out. I've had that happen many times when I camp primitive. Many times. Something comes, checks me out. It's scary because, you know, you hear it coming, and then you get like, what's that? And it stops.
You know what's cool?
What?
Earlier today my lower back was hurting.
Yeah.
But with this backpack on,
Huh?
and all the ice water bottles I put in there, it's cold against my lower back, and it doesn't hurt. It's like I'm walking around with an ice pack on.
An ice pack on your back.
Right?
And you're hiking and feeling good. Not mine. I should put more icy drinks. I put one in there to keep all my stuff cool. It did work. Wow. We get a break here too. Isn't this nice back in here? Woo! Wow. I love this lake. Most of these lakes weren't lakes. Like I said, they were dammed off to create reservoirs by PG&E Power. PG&E, I guess. They come in here and create hydroelectric dams, reservoirs, shit like that. I think PG&E started off dealing with water supplies and reservoir to cities like Sacramento and Folsom. That's what these reservoirs supply, fresh water for the bigger cities. So they are relevant, and they've been around for over 100 years. So they're the dogs. Because he's little. There's a nice Bigfoot area, but that ground's kind of grassy. I don't think there'll be any tracks down there. No animal tracks. I haven't seen no animal tracks hardly. there's areas in the Sierras that the ground's too hard or rocky, and you don't get good. Yes, and you don't get. We gotta cross up here, so go down. There's areas in the Sierras you can't. You can't get no tracks because of the way the ground is. Rocky, come on, Rocky, come on. Ooh, careful. By the way, folks, if you're gonna hike out here, the roads are slippery, the trails are slippery, and the roads have a lot of rocks. Right. Pebble rolls, you go over, you can fall off the edge into a dam, the edge of a lake, off a cliff, like Grouse Ridge. Grouse Ridge is a very big time Bigfoot hotspot, and so is some areas back in here. French Lake, you guys will see English Peak. There's English Peak, and below it's where we found our Bigfoot track, and I'll show you guys it when we're on the dam. Ow, it was my ankle. So my camera broke, folks, so it's been a hell of a day. I can't get mad. I'm in paradise. I just have to be thankful it's under warranty. I don't have to pay hundreds of dollars to get a new one. The motor just went eek. It was done. No more cam. Just like that. It's filming the peak. Here we go. At least I know where we're at. This woods is so thick it's hard to know anywhere where you're at. You've got to use the lake and the peaks as your bearing, or you'll get lost back here. Oh yeah. Move it, lose it.
This way, buddy.
Come on, rascal. He's been a pain in my arse today. Dude, that's a safety hazard. No, that thing's sticking out. No, dude, I'm not that coordinated, dude. I'll fall to the right. That's deep water on the right. I hope you can swim. Ow. It's pretty rocky. In the spring, you can't cross this. Only time you can cross it is the summer. So, we were able to get over there. There are other ways to get on the Grouse Lake Trail, though, or Grouse Ridge Trail. You can go from the other end on the road's down below, and just hike up. But this time of year, yeah. Wow, this is rugged. The dogs are like, what the hell?
Rocky won't leave my side. You see that? He keeps coming back for me.
Rocky, she's fine. I could think of worse areas to hike.
Alright, let's go.
And I have.
Show me how to get out.
Come on, Rocky. What are you doing, Jared? We're crossing the dam, buddy. Get some more photos. Wow. Whew. Keep on trucking. That's Sawmill Lake. And by the way, if you look, there's English Peak, folks. And on the other side is French Lake, where we had found some nice Bigfoot tracks. So we're in the general area. This is the right area to look for Bigfoot, is this little area in here. Some snow up there. To the right is English Peak. So we're going to definitely keep trucking. We've been in this area before. Not this lake or this basin, but the basin beyond English Peak. Oh yeah, we've been out there. It's the Meadow Lake area. Meadow Lake is out by that peak. So you can see. We're close to Meadow Lake. Oh yeah, there is gold in those rocks. You know what? This is placer gold. Placer gold is found along the rocks of rushing water and creeks. It's carried off from the peaks down to the lower elevations, and then it kind of, the particles stick to the rock. Sometimes they're inside the rock from erosion, and it exposes the gold. they did a lot of mining in these creeks around this, you know, these lakes. Bowman Lake had some mining because the rapids pushed the placer gold downstream, and then they collected in the pools of water. Although mining wasn't that lucrative, it did go on for about 40, 50 years in this region. So we'll go ahead, folks, and we'll... Careful. We'll cross the dam 1 footstep at a time. I think the road's the most challenging. What? I am the Dark Knight. Come on, rascal. Get out of there. Pretty good. How about you?
You guys just hiking in, or?
Well, we just went on a hike around the lake. Now we're coming back.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful day. A lot of big fish.
You know, if you guys hike around the lake, is there any fun?
Hiking on the dam, folks. It's pretty narrow. You can see. I mean, it's nothing to joke around about. You have to be careful and hold the railings. You don't want to lean over and slip in. If you, I mean, I can swim, but some people can't, and they do drown out in these lakes every year or so. No, some people do drown, and some people go over falls and rapids. Holy crap, there are some big fish, dude, jumping out. I got to get back to camp and get my line in the... Whoa, look at that trout. Oh my God, dude, I got to go back to Bowman. We need to catch some trout for the grill. Hopefully we won't catch Lyme disease while in the process, man. I've gotten stung, I've gotten bit today. I've seen insects here that I've never seen in the Sierras, and yes, they do bite. I got bit on my back 3 times, almost went in the shock. Camera broke. Cargo carrier didn't fit right. Had to rig it. It's safe, it's just rigged. Took like 2 hours to get it right. Spent about 3 hours trying to rope my tent from a tree because the poles were broke. So it's been a fun day, but I still seen a lot of nature. Butterflies. I've seen a golden blue snake today. I tried to film it. I don't know if it came out. I've never seen a snake like that. It's very pretty here. And there's English Peak off in the background. I love that peak. That's a peak worth climbing. Not many woods, though. You'll roast on a summer's day there. Nuh-uh. Go. Rocky, go. Rascal, go. Go on. Go on. Go. Go on. Jeez. So there you have it, folks. You know, you have to really enjoy nature and the outdoors to take on a place like this. I mean, it's very risky. Sharp rocks, boulders, you can get stuck. There's cliffs. But the rewards outweigh the risk if you can get back to a place like this. I just met a fisherman and his kids. He's looking for a place to camp around here, and he's got a couple little kids, you know, 6, 7 years old. So like I say, it's risky to come back here, but the rewards will last you a lifetime. The nature, the lakes, the scenery, the fishing. Even if you're a Bigfoot researcher like me, this is the place to do it. Every once in a while in this region we find good tracks. We hear good vocalizations. And sometimes I even get a glimpse or a sighting. And they usually just lumber off and they're gone in like 2 seconds. They're fast creatures. They like to hide up in the trees too and look at you. You wouldn't even know they were there. Definitely masters of the forest, especially the Sierras, where there's places man has never even been here. But this old wagon road, I believe, led down to the old sawmill. This is Lord Rick. Who? He's eating poop. He likes to eat poop. He eats cat litter constantly. Dogs can do crazy things. Unless he found an animal. Yeah, man, I'll pack it.
Closed the door on it. Decided to take it with him.
I got a piece of the Tahoe National Forest in my door. I think I parked too close under the trees. This whole area is like a jungle. It's overgrown. The roads are rocky. There's steep cliffs everywhere. I mean, this is a hell of a basin we're in. It's very, I mean, you could imagine if you were a wagon, a stagecoach, or a miner, a pioneer with all his belongings in his wagon. Death did occur. The wagons, the wheels broke, the horses got spooked on the cliffs. Their wagon would roll over, they'd lose all their things, sometimes die, they'd lose a kid or their wife, because they used to bring their families and work in the mines and build a little stone cabins out here and little wood, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom structures, you know. There was no luxuries up here. Now getting out of here is going to be rough. It's like 3 miles of roughness. But I'm going to go fishing when I get back to camp. Just rocks, but they're still a pain in the ass, and I don't like going over them because they hurt your tires, but...
You have to keep it at a certain pace because you're going uphill.
Right, exactly. There's just all kinds of little things about it. But it's alright.
Rocks, use.
We stay right? Okay, those are camp spots, primitive camp spots. You know, there are other areas to camp up here, though. I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't mind camping somewhere back in here one day. The fishing looks good back at this lake.
These places would be, like, secluded. Nobody be out here because the road is shit to get there.
Dude, you see all the little kids out here? I've seen like
tons of people
and little kids, and it's so risky out here because you got bear, mountain lion, plus if you break down, you're fucked. If you know what I mean. If you're stuck, there's people and rangers, but not. I mean, you could end up spending a couple days before someone helps you out. You know what I'm saying? You got the little kids. I mean, I'm not against it. You should take your kids out, but the thing is that you would think there wouldn't be anybody here because it's so hard to get back here. I mean, and these people, that's what I'm saying, some of these people have really low clearance vehicles, yet they're all the way back here, and I'm having trouble climbing some of these boulders. Because if I hit it wrong, I'll bottom out, and there was a few areas I almost did. It's like within ½ an inch to spare. I looked down out my window between the boulder, and I was climbing it very slow, because I'm like, man, yeah, like there, because you could hit the bottom. I got a skid plate, still...
Like
oh my
that.
God, I lost my mirror and everything.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I was going 2 miles an hour, man. 2! I wasn't even going 5.
Rocky is that. He doesn't want
There's
to drive with you.
well, Rocky has no choice unless he wants to live in the woods from now on. And I don't think he does. I mean, the mountain lions will eat him.
Right.
They'll eat me if they had the chance. Lucky they don't like crowds and groups of people, so they don't mess around too much. But they're out here. It's getting dark. So tomorrow, guys, we'll wake up, have breakfast, we'll pull off, we'll go past the campground tomorrow, we'll park, we'll cross the stream, and we'll cut across, and we'll go take the waterfall trail. I got directions in my papers how to get to it. And then we can see the waterfalls and the lake above, and we can come back for lunch tomorrow and raft and swim, and it'll be a good time. Do our ghost town and a lake. On the way to the ghost town, there's a lake. We'll do that tomorrow, or Sunday. This is a nice little trip I put together. Of course, I mean, anywhere's nice around here. I mean, there's at least, I looked on the map at the forester or the kiosk, there's 50 ponds and lakes around this area. They're everywhere. There's like some areas have 12, 15 lakes in a row, one after another. Like this, and then you got 2-3 lakes nearby surrounding it. A lot of water, and where you have a lot of water, you will also find Sasquatch. It's true. But you got to go off beat. You got to leave the trail, and you got to look at those ponds. Have soft, marshy shores, and that's where you'll find your Sasquatch and the Seers or the Prince most of the time. Right. I can't believe people take little old Volkswagens back here, man. That's dangerous. Those aren't made for this. Puncture a friggin' hole in the gas tank. And the Volkswagens hit a back rock, you're done. You'll be stuck out here a couple days because rangers don't really come back here all the time. They expect you to just be a citizen of good faith and to follow the laws and the rules, but some people don't. People litter, like at our campsite. I like it because it's not a campground. It's just a primitive, dispersed campsite on the lake. We have a huge camping area. You know, the whole area is ours. We got room for the horseshoes too. The whole area is ours. The whole woods, the whole peninsula, the cove. We have the cove. 2 coves. 2 little coves, one on each side, that we can swim or raft at. Oh man, this is ridiculous. Anyhow, folks, I already filmed this before, so I'm not gonna film much more. You get the idea. You see me going in, and this is just going out, and you have to go extremely slow or you will hit the bottom. I'm climbing the rocks, and then it drops. Okay, look at that. That's just good driving. That's just gentleman's driving right there. I'm a gentleman's driver. I'm also crazy, folks. So you have to take that in consideration too. But the way I see it is, you don't get to see this if you're not willing to at least come back here. So you got to put up with some pain in the ass stuff to see some good stuff. And that lake was worth seeing and hiking along. And I wish I had more time. I'd hike around the whole lake. The trail goes around the whole lake. It's a little rugged, not rugged, just overgrown. But I'll tell you what, it's a pretty lake to hike around, and the mountains in the background, woo-wee. That's what I wanted to see today, is some mountains, some nice peaks. And I got to see them with Tammy and Jared at Sawmill Lake. And now we're heading back to Bowman Lake. And we'll talk about Bowman's Lake history tomorrow when we stand on top of the waterfalls in the lake. I don't want to give away any secrets. Just a little here and there, bits and pieces, since it's a 3-day documentary. But the rough part's almost over, and then it smooths out almost to the Bowman Lake. But the road from Sawmill to Bowman is pretty rough. So if you come up here, just take my advice. Oh man, don't be stupid. Take the road slow. There are cliffs coming up here from Route 80, from Truckee and Reno. And also have the right vehicle and have a spare tire. Lucky we're not coming this way tomorrow again. Except to go to the waterfall park, but it's not bad back at the campground area. Alright, folks, see.
Why can't it be like this all the time?
You know how they make it like this? They have these trucks. They have a shovel in the front that pushes the debris on the sides. That's how they smooth the roads out. And the forestry does that. They didn't do it here. There's a lot of loose rocks. They could have smoothed it out with a big truck just to make it more hospitable.
Better off on that side.
I got it.
Because it's smooth. There's no rocks in there.
Yeah, but there was some sharp rocks sticking up. Wow.
I don't remember this road being this bad on the way in.
Or, I do. I remember the whole road almost being bad, minus a couple parts that we're almost at Bowman Lake, or the crossroads. And then if you take the other road, you can go to Jackson Meadow and Meadow Lake and Weber Lake, you know, all those areas we were at. We've been near Jackson Meadows, but they said that if you take the road at the crossroads up here to Jackson Meadows, that first 3 miles is a pain. Then once you get to Jackson Meadows, it's like there's some pavement up there, like paved areas or just gravel, because it's a huge campground up there. A lot of boating, boat ramps. It's a huge area. It's like a resort area. But this is primitive. This shit back here, so they don't maintain this shit. These are old wagon roads that some of them lead to the Hennis Pass, which was the alternative route for Donner Lake.
This shit.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Okay, when the Donner Party almost, well, resorted to cannibalism because they were stuck in the pass, that's treacherous and steep. So they created the Hennes Pass. And what they did is the Hennes Pass runs along not too far from here. And they built all these roads. These were built in the 1800s by miners. So these are original wagon roads. And yeah, it was hell. It was bumpy via horse. But that's how you came back here. That's how you brought in supplies. And you would lumber the wood to build the houses or for the mines in the area. That was what Sawmill Lake is. They had a sawmill right there where the dam is because of the rushing water. There are some good roads back here, and there's some bad roads. And all these roads lead to different ghost towns out here. Some of them don't exist, but there's 3 or 4 that do. There's a state park about 6 miles from here. A state park, and they have all sorts of historic, I think, mining machinery and everything. But the roads are rugged back here. I mean, even to go to the state park, it's a little rugged. You know what I'm saying? If we go to Weaver Lake in Graniteville, it's not too far from the state park. You just have to see how the road is. If it's not bad, it's fine. But we're only 20 miles from Nevada City. And we're only like 8 from Meadow Lake, which I've hiked all over Meadow Lake, and we camped there, so. It is what it is. It's a rough road they've never done anything. It's always been this way. The same rocks have been here since the 1800s on this road. And see, we're gonna cross the creek up here. Across the creek, folks, there's about 10 to 15 different creeks. The Yuba River's not far from here. I forgot the name of the other river, but there's at least, this sits between 2 rivers. This is the area where it's all rock, remember? Nothing but rock. Almost like we're riding over a creek bed, or a river bed. That's what this is like. So much rock, you know? That's why you can't get Bigfoot tracks around here. That Grouse Ridge hike, though, is pretty. If you hike up to the ridge, they said the views are amazing and well worth going to. But the only way to really access it, I think, is via over here, which is a pain in the ass. Because you gotta park, and then you can hike on it. But, you know, maybe one day we'll come back here again and we'll do Grouse Ridge. Hell, I'll fish at Sawmill Lake. I'm always up to try new things. And here's the open area. Now it should get better. This is Jackson. What is it called? Jackson what? Jackson Creek Summer Homes. Where the hell's the Summer Homes? Do you see any homes?
Yeah, there's a house back there.
Or is it abandoned or no?
No, it's not abandoned. I mean, they're summer homes. Yeah, they're like cabins, but they got like those big blind things on the windows.
Oh, gotcha.
It's not abandoned. It's just there's no one there right now.
Oh.
They have this shared.
I see they're cabins. Even worth photographing. But you get the idea, everyone. Very lush, thick forest. There's places nobody can even get to out here. There's planes that have crashed I've never found. And you can see why it's so dense. And there's peaks and cliffs on both sides of us. For miles, man. For miles. Tens of miles. Hundreds of miles. It's the Sierras. It takes up most of Nevada and California. It's crazy. Massive mountain range. A lot of creeks, rivers, mountains. You could spend 20 lifetimes. You'll never see it all, and you'll never find everything there is to find. One thing's for sure. I got a beautiful campsite at Bowman Lake. Right on a peninsula, overlooking the... Oh, man. I let that guy pass. He had plenty of room. I got over. Oh, yeah. He could have waited on me, but, you know, everyone's in a hurry here. You see how fast he's going. I'm not in a hurry. I'm just here to see scenery. I'm not expecting anything out of this trip. I could have planned hard stuff, but I'm just like, I'll explore and just... If I find something cool, I find something cool. See, up here is where we'll have to park tomorrow. Where that island is, there's a creek on each side of that peninsula. And one goes to the waterfalls, this one's dry. Okay, that's Red Mountain here, and then Bowman Peaks to the right. See if I get a better shot of it. I didn't know my peaks, I have pictures. I just didn't look at them. There's 5 to 6 different peaks around here. Oh, that's cute. That little spot they have with the little creek or the inlet here. What we have to do, damn it. See that island? How the fuck do you get out there, man?
There's gotta be a way, because...
The creek's on the other side to the waterfall. Unless I have to park up the road and we have to go around their camp spot and up the hill to the trail. It'll go along the waterfalls once we find
I'm
it.
just saying, there's gotta be a way out there. They have a truck out there.
That's what I'm saying. There's a friggin' truck. That's where we gotta go, though. That's where the creek is in the falls. It's on the other side of that. See, there's a creek right there. That's what we gotta look for. Huh. Man, this is a pretty little camp spot here, too. That's Red Mountain right there.
Not a lot of shade at that.
No. You see this, Jared? That, my friend, is Red Mountain. And then Bowman Peak is over here, and that's Red Mountain. Isn't that pretty?
We'd have to get over.
We're almost at our camp spot. I can taste the yummy trout cooking in the frying pan now. I have to let this guy pass. The traffic's ridiculous tonight. Hey, come on, man. This place is like 20 miles off the highway, and it's all rugged dirt roads and cliffs, and yet there's more people and kids out here than friggin' being in a park some days in the city.
There's more cars that have driven down this street than drive down our own street at our house.
That's what I'm saying, man. Get the,
So friendly.
yeah, everybody waves, everybody gives me the peace sign. It's just, most of these people are pot smokers back here, too.
People come up to you and ask you, hey, do you know?
Yeah, people talk to me. I've had people talk to me today and everything, and you know what? I have a gorgeous camping spot that overlooks, I mean, Red Peak is out in front of us.
He's got love from kids.
We got Red Peak, we have Bowman Peak in front of us, English Peak off to the east. This is, you know, this is an area I've always enjoyed, and I learned about it last year ago, and I started hiking and coming up here last year ago, and now, I mean, this is a new part of this area, and I'm just like, my God, I got to come back here and camp again. I want to camp at Lindsay Lakes. There's like 8 lakes back there, man, and they're all within a half-mile hiking distance. You can spend a couple days just hiking each lake. There's the, oh man, it's just beautiful. Red Peak out here, kind of looks red on top. They have Bowman Peak. I don't know, it's just a beautiful area. It's a little rugged. There's more people here than at the park near my house, and it's kind of crazy, man. It's just kind of crazy, but I guess people really love this place. You'd have to come back here, and I can't wait to do some fishing. Get my line out there, catch some trout, because I'm telling you, man, I mean, I can fish almost off my tent. Oh, there's our camp spot right there. I see our half-assed tent. We rigged it. Can't help that poles and shit broke. It's out of our control. It's not the end of the world. Where there's a will, there's always a way. Red and Bowman Peak right here. Yeah. I see our stuff down here. Oh yeah. Yay! How cool. Can kind of block ourselves in a little here too. For privacy. Cool, we're home. Honey, we're home. Doing a little fishing. That's sundown. Yeah, there's fire restrictions. You can't even have a fire. Despite that, there's a lot of people camping. Like I said, you just pull off at any of these lakes, pitch a tent, and own a little slice of heaven for a couple days. It's that simple. The reason why I do the videos, folks, is for safety, though. I want you to see what this place looks like. Because if you want to take your family, it's a decision you have to make based on what you see on YouTube or the internet. And my stuff is pretty genuine and down to earth. So I'll tell you if there's boulders on the road, or if the road's smooth, or if there's cliffs. So you make the decision. It's a good place to fish. It's a good place to camp. A lot of kids, a lot of friendly people. But like I say, it's hard to get back here. I've seen cars. You shouldn't do it. But some people, you know, they live for the moment. Alright folks, I'm going to get a line in the water. It's trout time, brown, rainbow, and I think there might be some salmon in this lake. Catch a nice salmon for the frying pan. Just doing a little fishing. They call it Red Hill. Actually, not Red Peak, but Red Hill. That's no hill. That's a mountain. But they call it that because when the sun hits it at sunset, it looks red. Little interesting fact. And of course, through the trees, you have, it's kind of hard to see, English peak. And then, of course, this massive peak. There's a lot of big peaks in the area. This area, it's heavily snow covered. You can kind of see why. I believe it.
Plop.
It's in the middle of the cove.
I see that.
And you know what? I'm gonna catch me a fish. I'm still on.
I hope you do, honey. Even though I don't eat fish, I know you do.
I brought the fillet knife. And I'll cut it. I'll put butter. Bring the lemon. I'll put butter. Seasonings. I'll fry that bitch in the pan.
There you go.